Bitcoin and its blockchain is the next major technology leap of our lifetime that will change the world, even more powerful than the internet. But Bitcoin's power has been restricted for too long. I am here today to help correct your understanding of what Bitcoin is meant to be, with the original Satoshi vision for its design created by Craig Wright himself, Satoshi Nakamoto, who is here today. We are here to tell you about the power of Bitcoin to do more than just be your idea of a virtual currency system, but to power microtransactions and big data for the future. That is the true power of Bitcoin for all of enterprises across the world. Because Bitcoin's magic is that it combines and fuses two things: data, bit, and monetary value, coin, into one protocol, one system, one network. And it's giving value to data that is Bitcoin's true power, but that power has been restricted for too long. But there are people all over the world, especially here in China, who are seeing every day that Bitcoin's true power needs to be unlocked. Matthew Chu, who is a founder of a project here in China, Fastpay Button, had this to say: "I work in the field of big data and blockchain. The first time I had the chance to transfer BSV, I was pleasantly surprised by its speed and by its ultra-low cost. On that very day, our team decided to create a Bitcoin app that uses big data. This is the use of blockchain that I had been aiming to realize. Data transactions at extremely low cost and a normal internet speed to give the users an exceptional experience." It is amazing that people here in China and around the world are waking up to see the true power of Bitcoin, and that's why his company has created Fastpay Button, a fast, decentralized payment system built on the Bitcoin SV blockchain here in China to rival WeChat and Alipay as a payment experience. This is all only possible on the original Bitcoin design, which only exists now in the form of Bitcoin SV, the only version of Bitcoin which adheres to the original design, protocol, and vision of creator Satoshi Nakamoto. And that comes down to one key concept: massive scaling to be the enterprise blockchain of the future. The thing you have to understand about Bitcoin is at the end of the day, its blockchain is simply a ledger, a record-keeping system that is public, which gives it the advantages of being auditable, verifiable, and transparent. It is this ledger system that can power a data network of the future. Bitcoin SV now enables all of the inherent power of Bitcoin's blockchain to do many things: smart contracts, tokens, decentralized applications, the Metanet, Craig Wright's concept for a new, more powerful internet powered by the Bitcoin SV blockchain. I'm here today to talk to you about specifically how Bitcoin can power also microtransactions as well as big data and the future road to artificial intelligence, the blockchain power of the future. And it begins by talking about three things: the massive scaling power of Bitcoin SV, microtransactions enabled, and finally, big data. So let's begin with what is key to the Satoshi vision of Bitcoin: massive scaling. It's something that has plagued Bitcoin for too long. Scaling wars, scaling debates, should Bitcoin scale or not? And that's because the developer groups that took control of what was the original Bitcoin, BTC, I'll call it Bitcoin Core, artificially crippled and restricted the blockchain to tiny blocks. Remember, the blockchain works with a block of data being added approximately every 10 minutes to the chain to continue the ledger of transactions. The core development group restricted the block size on BTC to 1 megabyte. That is tiny, teeny. You cannot fit many transactions on there. You cannot create a global electronic cash system or data system. It means you have a network that only does about 3 transactions a second, or at peak 7 transactions a second, which can never rival the payment networks of the world like Visa, which do 2,000 transactions a second on average, or 56,000 transactions a second at peak period. Instead, other blockchain projects emerged like Ethereum, thinking they could provide smart contract and token solutions. But you know what? They're running into congestion problems as well. Vitalik Buterin just earlier this year acknowledged in the media what we have known all along. The Ethereum network is running into scalability problems. He said the Ethereum blockchain is almost full. New businesses cannot onboard to Ethereum because of those problems. They're hoping to solve them with Ethereum 2.0, but the answer has been staring us in the face all along. It's in the Bitcoin blockchain, which solves things as Satoshi always designed. In fact, way back in April of 2009, over 10 years ago, at the very beginning of Bitcoin's history, Satoshi wrote in an email, there is only one global chain, and that global chain, Bitcoin, can rival the Visa credit card system of the time. And he said at the time, it never really hits a scale ceiling. The original Bitcoin design was designed to never really hit a scale ceiling, yet it was crippled for too long with tiny blocks. And that's why, my friends, Bitcoin SV had to emerge from the world's first hash war of Bitcoin last year to restore and reclaim that vision. We're doing it with big blocks. BTC stands at 1 megabyte block size. Bitcoin Cash, BCH, has a 32 megabyte block cap. After a protocol upgrade on our network in July of this year, we have a default block cap of 2 gigabytes. That's over 2,000 megabytes, 2,000 times the size of BTC. The mining pools on the network are currently setting lower to 256 megabytes to give the network time to adjust to this bigger size. But it's rapidly doing so. In July of this year, the world's biggest blocks ever mined on a public blockchain happened on Bitcoin SV at that full 256 megabytes in size. We're proving every day on Bitcoin SV that Bitcoin can scale. And what you were told in the past that Bitcoin could not scale is just wrong. Our team runs a scaling test network that in July of this year ran a test and consecutively mined 12 blocks of 2 gigabytes in size, proving again Bitcoin can scale. We're now doing it with lots of individual transactions. Recently, the test network has mined blocks with each block containing 2.7 to 4 million individual transactions within a block. In fact, we reset the test network about a month ago, and since then, it has mined over 1.4 billion transactions in 1 month. For comparison, that is 3 times the amount of transactions done on the main BTC network in its over 10 years of history because the developers there locked down the block size to 1 megabyte in size. Bitcoin can scale, and with our 2 gigabyte block capacity, it will produce theoretical speed and transaction throughput of 9,000 transactions per second. That's what is needed to achieve enterprise usage. And in February, we're going even bigger. With our Genesis upgrade, which is named to restore Bitcoin's protocol as closely as possible to Satoshi's original design, we are lifting the limits of Bitcoin, unlocking its great potential, and having no default limit in the block size. So the developers that take the protocol control do not control the block capacity. Instead, it's the mining pools, the miners, who decide what block size they'll accept or create dependent on market forces, just the way Bitcoin was always designed to work. And that is going to open a door to even bigger blocks. Our team believes that it is possible to achieve terabyte-sized blocks on Bitcoin. That is 1 million megabytes. And each block on that network could contain 4 billion transactions and create capacity for 7 million transactions a second through a Teranode project we're working on, which is an enterprise-class version of the Bitcoin SV node software, using a microservices architecture approach to create the efficiencies to scale to this massive capacity, because we believed in unlocking the true power of Bitcoin. And it's already working on Bitcoin SV. In just the year since Bitcoin SV has splashed onto the scene, we're seeing increased usage. These are charts from CoinDance of the activity level on the 3 competing Bitcoin chains. Yellow is BTC, green is BCH, and red is Bitcoin SV. This is the number for daily average Bitcoin block sizes. As you can see, the red trend is going up and now regularly surpasses BTC. For daily average Bitcoin transactions within a block, it is going up and starting to surpass BTC. And same thing for total transactions on the network on any given day. And this produces the second important point you need to realize. Bitcoin SV is unlocking Bitcoin's ability to have low and reliable fees. This is something that has not happened on the BTC network all of these years. On BTC, because of the small block size, you have congestion. You have fees that get higher to get your transaction into a block. The big spike on the chart you see above you is in January of 2018, when there was the huge crypto buying craze. Everyone wanted to buy Bitcoin because the price was skyrocketing. Well, it caused the fees on the network to hit almost $40 to send a single transaction on the network. That is far too high to power a global payment system or an enterprise blockchain ledger where big companies want to send not just thousands, but millions, if not billions of transactions for data, smart contracts, and other uses. And it's come down since then, but it's still far too high as well as unpredictable. This is data from May and November of this year. You can see that in May, it was over $4 to send a transaction on BTC. On one date in November, it was about $1.40 in US currency. That's still too high, and for a business, it makes it unpredictable to be able to plan your operations. Businesses need predictability. And on Ethereum, it's experiencing similar issues due to congestion. Just recently, from near the end of November, it hit $30 to send a transaction on the Ethereum network. No one is going to use an enterprise blockchain which has these fees or this unpredictability. Well, you know what it is on Bitcoin SV, on our network with big blocks and big scale? Right now, less than 1/20th of 1 US cent to send a transaction on the Bitcoin SV network. And that's still too high. We think that number should be much lower, fractions and fractions of a cent, so the BSV network can power the data world of the future. And that leads to this next step. What can you do with all of this power? First and foremost, BSV enables micropayments so that you can do blockchain applications for big enterprises, which need many, many transactions to happen. Some experimental projects have already been released demonstrating this. Here in China, there is a project that is reinventing social media using the Bitcoin SV blockchain. It's called WeBlock. In the United States, social media is plagued with a lot of fake accounts because it's free to create an account. It's free to post a message. So people create anonymous accounts, they create fake names, they use them to troll people in politics and even in cryptocurrency. We can clean that up if you create a social media enterprise that is powered with BSV micropayments. So on this system, you actually have to pay to post a small amount of BSV, so that reduces or eliminates fake accounts and unnecessary spam and troll messages. But why would someone pay to post on social media? Well, if people like your post, reply to it, engage in it, they pay you back. It's designed to create higher quality content on social media, to reinvent the internet world we know, to make it higher quality and get rid of a lot of the trash that we see on the internet today. This is continuing on in the United States with a project called yours.org, which creates a content platform which allows bloggers and other content creators like photographers and image creators to actually earn money, because bloggers don't make money from their content. Well, they can on yours.org with Bitcoin micropayments. So for example, this woman posted pictures of her holiday in Venezuela. Normally you wouldn't make money off that if you did it on, for example, Medium, a blog post that's widely used in the US. Well, with this system, you could actually charge money to access content. Let's say you write a great article about blockchain strategy. You could gate it and charge a small amount of money in Bitcoin to access it. People can tip you 25 US cents, 30 US cents. They can upvote you, downvote you with small amounts of micropayments, What you cannot do with credit cards because of credit card processing fees, but you can do on Bitcoin SV because it costs only less than 1/20th of 1 US cent to send perhaps a 5-cent transaction. That is the future of data. Unisat is a startup in Norway which is using the Bitcoin SV blockchain to create a supply chain management solution and an ERP, enterprise resources planning solution for major enterprises to help better track supply chain of products across the world. It needs a blockchain with a lot of data transaction capacity and cheap transactions to help track all of these things you see across the supply chain. Uptime SV is a project out of Australia, which won our first ever Bitcoin SV hackathon. And it's taking the process of testing the up and downtime of websites, which companies want to do, and actually crowdsourcing it, so that all of you out there with your mobile devices in your hands could contribute to testing of websites. And this is how it works. You download a mobile app to your device. You elect to contribute the computing power of your mobile device to test websites. And because your computing device is moving around like you are, it provides more accurate geolocation data. The companies that use the service want access to all of their nodes that they have in this network right now, nodes in over 61 countries of participating users. The companies have a dashboard and can get real-time data of how their websites are either up or down in different parts of the world. Now, why would you do this as a user? You do this because you get something in return, earning small amounts of Bitcoin SV to your mobile wallet, constantly deposited in small amounts because it is so cheap and fast to send small amounts of Bitcoin SV transactions. Coda is another project from Australia which won our second Bitcoin SV hackathon. And it's solving an issue for developers, where a lot of developers create tools and APIs, they put them out for free on the internet, but then they don't get any money off of it. Well, Coda creates a marketplace where you can actually earn money as a developer in Bitcoin SV for every time people are using your API. Finally, how does this lead to the world of big data? Companies around the world are keeping pools of their own data in order to do big data analytics. But what if there was a universal, worldwide source of data for different industries that everyone could access and could confirm is accurate because it is on a ledger that is public, auditable, verifiable, and transparent? Well, that's the Bitcoin SV blockchain. Here in China, a project called Rate SV is doing this start with financial data. It allows you to open channels to record streams of financial data, such as cryptocurrency exchange prices, stock exchange prices, by the minute, by the hour. What is the stock price of a company every 5 minutes, every hour, so that there is a historical record available to all, and therefore a pool of data that people can use for financial analytics in the future. There's an air quality index project here in China, recording on a regular basis to the BSV blockchain the air quality information for over 3,000 Chinese cities so that it's available for study, for commercial use. And this leads to even more interesting uses in the gaming world. In the United States, Chronoverse is a company in the esports and online game world, using the Bitcoin SV blockchain for its data ledger capabilities. It has a game called Crypto Fights in beta testing now. It's like Dungeons and Dragons, but in the digital world. You create an avatar, you roll dice to compete and battle against another player, and then you win a battle. For each of those dice rolls and moves, the game will record the move to the Bitcoin SV blockchain in a separate transaction because of the data capacity and inexpensive transaction fee. It will then make those data pools available for people to search, to recreate and analyze battles in the future, to evaluate strategy for best players, and create a battle explorer to make the esports world more fair, audible, especially as it gets into the world of esports betting. And then there's weather. We always like to talk about weather, but this application out of Australia allows anyone to open up a weather channel. such as in my hometown of Seattle, Washington in the United States, where every hour the weather status of that city is recorded through the blockchain. Why would anyone do this? It's because then you have a universal source of weather data that can be analyzed, studied, provided to commercial businesses, universities, and governments who might want to study climate change, who have climate control devices like your phones or your Fitbit devices. It creates a data marketplace. Because remember, Bitcoin is the combination of data and monetary value. This is a perfect example of how the Bitcoin blockchain gives value to data. It is a commodity ledger, and that commodity that has value is data. And it is an extremely amazing example of how far Bitcoin SV has come in the last year. Paul Chiari, the chairman of Weather SV, summarized the potential well. He said, "Our belief in the potential of the original Bitcoin protocol has been realized in BSV. We can now build on a platform with the inherent benefits of blockchain technology that also meets the technical and economic demands of high-volume data applications." Bitcoin, data, monetary value, creating a system and network that takes advantage of both of them at high block capacity for enterprise applications to power not just a world payment system, but everything, a new, better internet, a data marketplace for the world to rely on that is honest, open, and transparent, that businesses and governments will be able to trust and make us all better, that give our data as consumers more value and strength, and allow us to commercialize our online activities. A better world. That's what Bitcoin was born to be. Its power was restricted for too long by the scaling battles. We have freed it with Bitcoin SV to finally achieve the true Satoshi vision that Craig Wright gave to the world over 10 years ago. It's back, here, on fire, to create a blockchain for microtransactions, big data, and everything and anything you and the rest of the world want to build.
Thank you. Thank you, Jimmy, for sharing with us.